Welcome back to another Kicking Tables. I, of course, am Sean Evans.
And I'm Tico.
And today we'd like to welcome Stephen Ridings, the creator of Cretaceous, a dinosaur hunting adventure. Dinosaurs. Who doesn't love dinosaurs? Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about Cretaceous. What is the game? Give us a brief rundown of how you play it, and where did it come from?
Okay, yeah. So basically in Cretaceous, the players kind of take on the role of mercenaries that have been hired by companies to go back in time to capture dinosaurs and bring them to the present. Kind of like
who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah, right? So like it's kind of like the idea of, they figured out that extracting DNA from mosquitoes didn't work. So, what's the most complicated way to fix the problem? Just go back and get them right from the source.
Sure.
So, yeah, basically play just goes around the table, and everyone takes turns kind of exploring and expanding the map with, hex cards. And as you're expanding the map, you'll encounter dinosaurs, events, and, pick up allies and equipment along the way. And, you just try to catch the most, the biggest, and the best.
So the objective is to get the most dinosaurs, get the most points. Do you have bigger dinosaurs than others that are worth more points?
Yeah, basically. So how the game's going to start is there's these 3 starting tiles. That's kind of like the base that all the mercenaries have set up. It's like their safe zone. You've got, that's where your fences are and, all of your equipment. And the further you go from those base tiles, the more dangerous of there's 3 different threat levels. And so the further you go from the base, the more dangerous the tile might be, but the more dangerous and further away you risk going out, the bigger dinosaurs you'll find, the better victory points, the better rewards from events.
So you're balancing that risk reward.
Yes, because and the thing is, another risk reward is because you can go out there, you step outside, you capture a small little dinosaur just worth a few points, and okay, you're like, maybe I'll go a little further, maybe catch something bigger. And the idea is you currently have them with you. You need to go back to the base to actually send them to the present.
Right.
So until you do that, everything with you is in danger. So let's say you're feeling really good. You really push it. You go out to the 3rd threat level, and then all of a sudden that's when the T-Rex shows up. The dice go bad. You get knocked out. All the dinosaurs you've captured have now fled back into the forest, and you're left with nothing.
But so you don't get anything until you get back to the what is it, the warp? Is it a warp?
It's like a gate.
A gateway.
It's basically just like a giant portal that you're just chucking them right in.
Okay, and they're not worth anything until you get them to the gateway.
Correct. Basically, they would be worth something still at the end of the game. You're not forced to go back to the gate to score them, but they're never safe points until you've taken them to the gate and sent them back to the present.
They're at risk until you drop them off.
Yes, exactly. So you could win the game and not go back, but I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so I was going to ask, how many different dinosaurs do you have in the game?
There's actually 30 different ones, and there's 10 different species in each zone, and all the species are actual dinosaur species that lived in the Cretaceous period.
That's
and will we see every one in each game, or is it is it a mix? Do you pull some in, pull some out? Is it the luck of the draw sort of thing as to see which ones you're going to see?
No, it's definitely random. You can go many games, especially the 3rd tier of dinosaurs, the most dangerous ones. There's 10 different species in that final zone, and unless someone's playing it particularly aggressive, you're only going to see a couple of those per game. So it'll be many games before you see all of those, and even then, you wouldn't see all the ones in the first 2 threat levels in any game, regardless.
Okay.
Where did you get the idea for this game? How did this come to be?
Well, it's funny. The original idea came from if you couldn't guess, I'm actually a huge Jurassic Park fan, and
we could see from your shirt earlier. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's pretty faded, but I've worn it enough. I was playing the Jurassic Park board game that came out a few years ago, and I liked it, but it didn't feel like, because you're going through the island, you're trying to escape, you're hitting a few objectives, but it didn't feel like you were really, you already had a map. You knew where everything was, and you knew where the dinosaurs were on the map. It didn't, and so I was like, wow, it would be really nice if there was a game that, as you were trying to make your way through the jungle, you don't know if something's right there.
Right.
You might run into it. So it originally was an escape game, but then it morphed into the fact that people wanted to interact with the dinosaurs when they showed up, and so then there was a mechanic to fight them back, and then that became so much people enjoyed that part of it so much. It's like, okay, well, we'll just shift to that.
Nice.
And so the hunters became the hunted in the game design, and it got flipped.
It's great to hear how games can morph from one idea to another. Watching some of your videos on how to play the game, there is when you fight the dinosaurs, you can actually get the help of the other mercenaries, but also conversely to that, they can actually help the dinosaurs defeat you. That has a bit of like Munchkin style back and forth in it. Now, was that on purpose? Are you a fan of Munchkin? Is that where that came from?
I am a fan of Munchkin, and a couple of the cards particularly took inspiration from that. Like, nice. There was there's like one that makes a dinosaur like an alpha, where it does more damage, and some of the dinosaurs, like if you roll really low, like they'll actually escape, but it actually loses the ability to flee. There was actually a game where, due to a couple cards getting played, a T-Rex actually spawned very close to the base. Someone dropped that on it, and it was unwilling to leave. And so the majority of the game, this thing was running around and just relentlessly going at it. It's normally not what happens, but this particular setup was unique, and this T-Rex was like right outside of the base, and it made it pretty interesting. So yeah,
because the dinosaurs move around after they're discovered as well, correct? Like if they're not captured, they stay in the play area and actually move around.
Correct. And the interesting thing about it, the movement and the dinosaur actions are not controlled by any like card mechanism. At the end of every player's turn, there's a dinosaur action dice that you roll, and then based on what like tile that rolls, it'll be for a wetlands, a forest, or a desert, the three main locations you go to. And then based on that, you can either you can spawn a new dinosaur, or if there's already a dinosaur in one of those locations, you can move it. And then if it's a carnivore, maybe you could attack someone. If it's a herbivore, you could have it run away. So all the movement and interaction with the dinosaur is actually player controlled as well.
Wow, that's
very cool.
It's cool.
The look of it has a very it reminds me a lot of like the old video games, old NES and stuff like that, or that 8-book look to it. Is there any plans to have like a digital version? Like this is something I could easily see playing on my phone or something along those lines. Is that in the cards at all, or?
I mean, we have the tabletop simulator version that we've been playtesting with, considering everything, that was the way to go. But when it comes to actually making a digital one, I mean, if it does well enough, it's something I'd consider. I'm actually I've actually done Unity programming before, so it'd be something that could be moved into a digital format, in the event it got enough success. But I definitely don't want to get ahead of myself.
What was
I love the look of the
thank you.
To that, it looks fantastic.
I'm a big Super Nintendo fan.
Yeah,
so.
I was just to say, what was your inspiration for making it that 8-bit look?
Honestly, kind of just my greed for the how much I enjoyed the style.
Okay.
So I always really liked the Jurassic Park Super Nintendo game. Like, it was one that I logged a lot of time in, and I've probably spent far too much time on original Nintendo, Super Nintendo. So just a fan.
That's hey, Tico and I grew up in that era, so it's we're at home there.
Yeah. Are there any sort of homages to the classic Jurassic Park or other dinosaur movies in the game that fans will find?
Yeah, definitely. Like, in fact, a couple of the starting items, because when you start the game, every player, to kind of make themselves unique, their companies all have specific advantage against trying to capture a certain type of dinosaur, like a theropod or a ceratopsian, whichever you might have. But specifically, there are these 4 starting items that everyone gets to pick. And one of them is a flare that lets you redirect a dinosaur and maybe avoid it attacking you, or a lucky backpack. I'm sure you know where the flare is from, but the lucky backpack is kind of towards Jurassic Park 3, where the guy actually lived because his backpack was what they were tearing into. So the lucky backpack lets you avoid a negative consequence. So there's a few of them hidden in there. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Post Kickstarter, so once you're successful on Kickstarter, what are the plans after that? Will this be a retail release? Will we see it on shelves somewhere? And what about expansions? Like, are we going to add more dinosaurs? I mean, only 30. You got to have a lot more dinosaurs you can pick and pull from.
Well, I mean, technically there are 50 tiles, but there's 30 total between. There's a few duplicates. You can get bonuses for capturing mated pairs and all that. But post Kickstarter, the entire production of it is going to be done through the Game Crafters. So unfortunately, we don't have a retail pledge, just because we couldn't get the cost low enough that a retailer would actually want to buy lots and lots. There wouldn't be a big enough profit margin for them. But afterwards, it's going to be on the Game Crafter. If it's successful enough, then I'd be very open to talking to publishers. But since this is the first one that I'm designing, I'm kind of just playing it by ear. I don't want to get too far ahead.
So if you want it, get in on the Kickstarter. Do it
yes,
now.
because the whole point of Kickstarter is the Game Crafter gets it cheaper and cheaper for however many units you sell. So the Kickstarter is targeted to get people the absolute lowest bulk cost. There's actually really no profit built into this. I'm trying to sell it like at Game Crafter cost plus Kickstarter plus shipping, and that's it.
That's
but
fair.
After the Kickstarter, I can't get anyone that bulk pricing, so it'll definitely go up afterwards, and I unfortunately that's unavoidable. So
all right,
now's definitely the best time.
I have one last question for you before we let you go then, Stephen. How long ago did you start creating this? How long did it take to create? And what was the hardest thing to actually get right as you started doing playing testing?
Oh, yeah. I've been working on it for a little over a year. It's kind of been consuming quite a bit of my spare time. I've been kind of focused on it a lot. But I'd say the hardest thing to balance and get right was early on, like the third threat level. I wanted to be like this, really imposing. Like I wanted you to feel like it was a risk going out that far. And originally I made it far too hard to go out there, to the point that it was definitely not a good idea. And then there's these support cards that I was like, oh, people get these support cards and it gives them a big benefit to their character, which will make it a lot easier. But I was way too stingy, like mechanic-wise, giving those out because I was worried about balance issues if somebody got like too many. But then when I kind of like loosened up a bit and people got more of those, we worked out the rates and different ways to get them and balance it out. The dinosaurs, kind of like the numbers got tweaked, and so now it's still a threat, but it's an achievable goal. You know what I mean? Like it's dangerous, but very doable. So that one took a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's on Kickstarter now, and it's there until September 10th.
Yes.
And how is the Kickstarter doing at this point? At the point of the recording.
Right now, I think it's at about 35%. So it's got a little over a third of the funding already, and
awesome.
It's just been a couple days. So far, so good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we wish you all the best. The game sounds amazing. I love the theme. It's I think it's very unique, and putting the tiles out as you grow, it means you're never playing the same game twice. And I'm a big fan of those kind of tile laying mechanics where it's going to be different no matter how you play it. So congratulations on getting your dream to Kickstarter, and thanks for joining us today on Kicking Tables. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I didn't even mention to the right of me, I've got like fossil collection too. So the fact doing something with dinosaurs is like
it's a dream.
Something I've been wanting to do. Yeah. Going to be a paleontologist, so I'll put them on paper. So
nice. Awesome.